In today's video, we are back on F1 Manager 24, and we are making a massive decision going into the 2032 season. We've just come off the back of an epic double title decider between ourselves at Andretti and Ferrari, and Franco Colapinto and Andrea Kimi Antonelli coming out victorious in both championships. After 3 years of building Andretti up, we finally did it. But as ever with Formula 1, over the winter break, everything gets reset and you go again. And you try to find new challenges season to season, new motivations. And that is what I am doing into the next one. My in-game team principal rating is now 1,000, which I think might be the maxed out score. So I'm going to have the entire pick of the bunch. And yes, we are leaving Andretti. But I asked you guys in the last episode what my next move should be in this series, and coupled with what I'm feeling personally, I think in 2032, 8 years on from forming the team, we should return home to Aarava Archer GP, my own custom F1 team. We're going to be returning as a very different team principal. We've got a lot of accolades, we've had a lot more experience in this sport, and this team, on its own accord, without me, has experienced plenty. But it seemed like from a lot of your guys' comments, you were really excited, maybe the idea of me returning to AAGP. Ollie Behrman unable to get it over the line. We had Abby Pulling for the very first time in Formula 1, winning in this last season. So this seems like a very exciting time to come back to our own team. And for me personally, I think, you know, we've done what? 4 seasons away from our created team, which is obviously still the, you know, the whole series name is F1 Creator Team Career Mode, but very nicely in this game, there's the feature to leave your own team, which I really hope the Cody's games can do in the future, but we use that feature to good use. We've done 4 seasons away, 1 at Audi, 3 at Andretti, which is pretty crazy. I mean, we did 4 seasons with our own team, so we went 1 more season with Andretti. We would somehow match the stint we did with our own created team, which I don't think's right in a creator team career mode. I think we should definitely be spending the most time at our own custom team. Yes, there are other teams maybe where there could have been some storylines, maybe some road to glories, but we basically already did a road to glory with Andretti, 3 seasons of it. I think now's the time to forge a bit of a different story and a bit of a different vibe. We can come back to other teams and do road to glories with them in the future. I'm sure this game and this series will be continuing on the channel well into this year. But right now, it feels very right to confirm moving back to Aarava Archer GP. Welcome then to the new season back in fluoro green. The objective is 3rd or above right now. The long-term objective is Constructors Champion. The target season is 2033. So it's the original board members of the series. They want me to win the championship in basically 2 seasons with AAGP. Honestly, I think we could be going for it straight away. I mean, at one point, Ollie Behrman very much could have been in contention for the Drivers' World Championship. You know, especially even at, you know, what was it, the last 4 races? I think going into those last 4, he was in contention if he was to win 1 or 2 races. Obviously, he didn't. So that's a massive reason why it's exciting to come to this team, is to almost, it's unfinished business, you know? We managed Behrman at this team at the start of the series. He left us. We then joined him at Audi, and it wasn't to be. The fairy tale story wasn't to be an Audi. I left Audi. He eventually left Audi for Ferrari. You know, we've both gone our separate ways, and we found our way back together at the original team we were both at. And it feels like, you know, this is almost 3rd time lucky. Let's try and get him over the line. And what can we do with a very exciting prospect of Abby Pulling now, new F1 female race winner? Incredible. Balance-wise, 13 million. That's not bad. We can work with that. I was worried we might be down to, like, you know, a couple of million, like, you know, 5 million, 1 million even. You know, you never know with the AI teams how they operate, you know, on their own accord. But Good job. Good to know that I left the team in a good financial situation, and the, you know, subsequent bosses and the culture around the team has not changed too much. We're still being sensible here at AAGP. Good stuff. 13 million. We can work with that. We can absolutely work with that. Technical regulations. Now, remember, this is out my hands, but this is maybe a bit of a topsy-turvy season to be moving teams, because we have huge changes into this season. 55% reduction in chassis there, front wing, rear wing, side pods, underfloor, and suspension. I mean, suspension 65% for goodness sake. So this is a huge regulation change. Like, this is probably as big as we're going to get in real life in 2026, basically, here. So this is a bit of an iffy time to change team, because if you clock, I haven't been able to choose any of these guys' research parts. I mean, let's look. They did research on chassis. They did research on front wing, rear wing, side pods, okay, underfloor, okay, thank God. They did research on every part of the car. How much research that is, I guess we're going to find out at the end of this video with the R&D chart, of course. But fingers crossed. I mean, they've been clever with their funding. They've been clever with their finances. So let's hope they've been clever with their research. Obviously, now the cost cap has been reduced by about 5 million, which works for me, to be fair. Now moving to this team, you know, I think that'll maybe play in our favor. I think when you're at other teams, like bigger teams, you kind of want the, you know, you want more funding, especially if you're earning a lot of money, which we were at Andretti, we were at Audi, for example. But AAGP, it's the created team, so you don't really know what your funding level is going to be like. We're going to have to see how the sponsors go. And sporting regulation wise, there is no change to the engine component limit, no changes to things like this right here with pole position, fast lap, double points. Okay, all good. Right, now on to the very important decision, because as the custom team, we get a full pick of the bunch of the engine and power unit we use. This team was using Mercedes. Obviously, originally in this entire series storyline, we were using Ferrari because at the time, Behrman was still linked to the Ferrari Academy, and we worked a deal where Ferrari would supply us and we would agree to take on Behrman as a rookie in Formula 1 at that point. Obviously, since then, Behrman's, you know, been with us, you know, left us for Audi, so he left the entire Ferrari structure and went to Audi, and then actually, funnily enough, found himself at Ferrari eventually, but he's come back with us. We have no link to Ferrari. The durability I'm not liking. The power is 4 above Mercedes. For me, that 4 difference in power is not enough to warrant this durability reduction. Fuel efficiency is quite good there with Ferrari, but I remember from our time with the Mercedes engine, I think it was with Andretti, to be fair. I think, to be fair, actually, we were using Mercedes engines, weren't we, in Andretti? The fuel efficiency wasn't that bad. It wasn't like great. Like, it wasn't as good. It wasn't as easy to save fuel as it used to be when we were first doing this series with the Ferrari engine with AAGP. But the Mercedes engine wasn't that bad. We know the Renault is lower on power, and we know that even though the Red Bull, I think, is really good. Yeah, it's really good on power. It's not great durability. And I think, you know, yes, we've got some extra components, but I do want to favor durability, and that extra power we can always hopefully work out in a different way, you know, with drag reduction or, you know, high speed or whatever. So I think I'm going to stick with Mercedes. This team was with Mercedes last season. We've already got a massive regulation change. Let's not upset the status quo, the balance, let's say, by changing the power unit at the same time. So the upfront cost is going to be 5 million, and this is obviously a new feature in F1 Manager 24 that they added in the last major patch, where the annual cost is 22 million, but the upfront is only 5.5, and we can spread the cost 1.6 million a month, which is a much better way to go. Otherwise, we would have been in debt, basically, going into this next season. So we can confirm that in, and we actually have a... What? What? Is it, have I got the year right? Is it 2032 still? 2032. Oh, we got back in time. Hang on a minute. No, Andretti, Audi, BMW, Williams, Porsche, McLaren, Red Bull 4. We're definitely in 2032. Where's Pato O'Ward come from? What? We've got the band back together. Oh, my word. What? Where on earth is pulling gone? I'm so confused. I mean, I'm low-key just as excited for this. This is unbelievable. It's truly meant to be. We've come home, and we've come home to the original driver lineup we started this entire series with. But the difference is now they're 89 and 96 rated. They're much better drivers than they both were when we first started this journey together. That's unbelievable. Well, where on earth is pulling gone? Before we get into, though, investigating the transfer market that has clearly been quite active, at least for us, for the team that we are coming to, and sponsor negotiations, the custom calendar for 2032. Once again, a 20-race calendar, reducing the number to a nice round number. I think 20 is a much better number for a season of Formula 1, to be honest. And we're going to be starting down under at the Australian Grand Prix, then going to the Chinese Grand Prix, before then going to the Middle East for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and then very early, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, mixing things up, as well as an early Las Vegas GP. I basically swapped Vegas and Miami round. Miami is now late on in the season. Maybe doesn't make a lot of sense in real life, but here in the game, just fun to swap around the, order of those two US GPs. We then obviously come to the usual Imola, Monaco, Canada, and then the whole run of European races, Spain, Austria, Silverstone. Then we have a bit of a change of order. We've got Monza first, then we've got Spa, and then we've got the Hungarian Grand Prix. We then come to flyaways, Singapore, like I said, Miami, and then another round of 2 races in the Middle East as we go to Jeddah, and then Losail for a late Qatar GP once again, as we've had quite a few early Qatar GPs in the seasons gone by, so I thought we'd return to a late one. And then a little bit of a twist on the classic last 2 races we've been doing for the last 2 seasons. We're going to be ending in Sao Paulo this time and have the run-in be the Japanese Grand Prix. So that is the new calendar for this season. We've got some sponsor negotiations to do, and for the first time in a long while, we've actually got some actual brands to choose from as we're back with the created team. So the fake sponsors are there. So we've got total funding 55, 63, 63. Okay, right. That's going to be more engagement stuff. So that's actually works out for us, because race day stuff is obviously based on performance. I don't mind doing engagements, Jules Kit Paris. I don't mind. Let's go for it. Right, in terms of the secondary sponsors, we've got some level 4s here. We definitely want to look into those with the biggest amount of money. 76 million there. That's going to be for a race day achievement, though. So that's fine, though, because we can balance it out here. So go 87. Is that the highest we're going to get here? Yeah, 87 there. 107 million. 107.6. Oh, okay, that's more. That's again race day engagements. We'll go for it, though. We'll go for it. I think we're going to have to go for this one, aren't we? Up front. That's up front, to be fair. That's actually that works for me. Upfront payment. I'll go for that. So we'll have upfront of 17.3 million. And then overall, over the course of the year, we'll have 117. We're still not even at the cost cap there, but obviously I don't think we've ever actually been up to the cost cap there. But moderate reliance, that's not bad. Moderate reliance on performance and preferences for driver activities. Okay, that's fine. So we'll be putting the drivers in for whatever, guided tours or, whatever and such. They're going to be doing plenty of PR. I mean, to be fair, of course they are. We've got the band back together. Behrman and O'Ward back with their old manager. That's a PR win. A massive PR goldmine there. Oh, we haven't done this in a while. Driver suit. Edit. Okay. Making that logo nice and big. You know what? It's nice to be back with my fake in-game logo, which, by the way, still to this day, I think you have to agree, I smashed it making my logo in the game editor. Like, that is actually the closest you're ever going to get. Having the big oil sponsor, bit more front and center there. Going to move this down just a tad like that. Okay, cool. On the sleeves, we're good, just staying in black. And on the back, we've got the... Oh, perfect. I think it works. It's not maybe the best ever, but I think it's a nice little bit change of difference, I think, because we've done literally every other design before. in previous seasons. So let's go for that. Right, driver suit done. The car livery, obviously, I'm just going to stick with what we've got here, which was our actual in-game livery. And then I'll leave a link down below in the description to the user. Someone, I can't remember your name, sorry. But you tweeted me giving me this edited version where we've got some sponsors on the car and such, so it looks a bit more like a real F1 car with the fake sponsors on there as well. One thing I do need to do is actually go back in and make those numbers black with a mod, which I will do for the actual series when we get going for round 1. I feel like when you've been given your own in-game livery, you can't not use it when you're doing the custom team. I mean, I'm still actually not over it. It's just so sick. It's come out so class. Right, can we take a look at what we got then? So we've got O-Ward and Bearman. So O-Ward low affinity, so that confirms O-Ward literally just did move here over the winter break. We've got 2 banging engineers, 96, 92. Good affiliation there with Bearman. That's calm. Affiliates. Oh! We've got some really good affiliate drivers. Bloody Nora, 82, 81, and 80 in affiliate drivers. That's not bad. We can definitely put them to work helping the car, depending on, if we really need the desperate addition of extra development, obviously, with that new feature that came in for the last update with F1 Manager 24. Staff-wise, what are we saying? So, okay, ex-Red Bull, isn't he? Pierre Wash, 95 rated. Adam, wasn't he an old-school engineer of ours? And he's come back to the team. I think he left us, didn't he? And he's come back to AAGP. And then Jonathan Wheatley, I think we signed in the last season, did we not? Before we left the team. So he's still here. He's still there. That's a really great lineup. That's a really solid team, that is. What's our facility saying? Have they improved? Oh, I think they have. I don't think we were not level 5 design center. I think at best we were level 4. But I think we're level 3 even. So AAGP operating as an AI team. They've been doing some good work here. Good work. I'm impressed. Design level 5. Factory still 3. That's all right. Wind tunnel, CFD's 2. I think I want to try and make that 3 just to make it even. Car part test center, suspension. Cool. Overall, I'm liking that. CFD simulator. Would definitely look to upgrade that. 12 million. Let's hold off. Let's do some upgrades on the car. Obviously, there's a massive period till the first race where let's not look at the R&D chart now. Let's wait for all the AI teams to make a couple of upgrades, and then let's see. But after we've done those, I think let's invest in the CFD simulator just to make it nice and even. Staff center, team hub level 5. Love that. Scouting 1. Don't really need it. Race simulator 4. Decent. Of course. Of course. This team may have a boardroom. And it may be up to level 3. I left it with board level 1, didn't I? We bought a boardroom once we won our first ever World Championship with this team. We got out the shed. We got the boardroom. We were level 1. This team has then gone on to upgrade it 3 times. But of course, in typical fashion, aarava Archer GP's boardroom is at 0% condition. The roof is caved in. The walls have got mold in them. There are rats on the floor. Of course. Even though it's level 3, it is in utter disarray. You know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. Hospitality area. That needs a little bit of upkeep. Helipad, weather center. Oh, level 4 weather center. Lovely. Memorabilia, tour center. All good. Right. Refurb needed. Upgrade needed, and then we can think about this later. Right, upgrades though. Quick little scan. It's looking all right, It's looking all right. I mean, this is kind of where aarava Archer GP was last season, so I'm not surprised, but I'm not disappointed. I'm not like anything. I think this seems exactly where AAGP was. Let's make some upgrades. Top end speed's great, so that vindicates my decision to have the Mercedes engine. We don't need the... You know what we do need? We absolutely need high speed. Bloody hell. All right, 6 engineers on that. 1 million good. Okay, that's going to be a boost to the underfloor. What else should we do? Front wing? Should we do front wing? All right, 1.8 there. And then let's do the final upgrade. Top end speed's pretty good. I think side pod or chassis? Side pod. Let's go side pod. Side pod's always underrated, I feel. I always forget about side pod upgrades. Okay, that's across the board a very nice set of upgrades. Side pod, underfloor, and the front wing. Cool. We've used all the ATR now, so that is it then. We're going to have to see if that's going to be enough, what the other AI teams will do around us upgrading before the first race of the season, the first episode. But I think now, well, sooner rather than later, it'll be time to get on into the driver transfers. But before we get into those, you may have noticed that Williams are now BMW Williams, as we do have a couple of livery visual mods for some of the teams to switch things up. Obviously, if you followed along the series, you would have seen Williams have been on the up and up, and they have been improving season to season lately. Obviously, they've locked down Gasly and Browning, I assume, from the previous seasons. Maybe they've changed, actually, to be fair, as they get more aspirational. You know, they may be one of the domino pieces in the transfer market. But in lieu of Williams being on the up, I think a great story will be BMW partnering with Williams. Yes, just like in our F1 24 series, but this is a bit of a different look, a very, very slick look, I must say, here, with the HP logo really matching well, the RBS on the blue, the Allianz as well. And so this is the look for BMW Williams. I think you can agree with me. This is a look of a team that means business, and that is the team that Williams have been trying to become, you feel, in the last 2 seasons of the series. The same with Aston Martin. You know, they have been trying their best to improve. They've got a double world champion in Oscar Piastri, or at least they did. Obviously, we'll see what the transfers are like, but they did have Oscar Piastri at the team, and so their aspirations were high. They were in neon Aston Martin green before, but now as they try and get towards the front of the grid, try and ruffle the feathers, they're trying to become a more mature outfit with a more mature look for their team and branding. So they have gone back to the classic darker Aston Martin green they've used in Formula 1, and with a splash of white to denote their partnership with Honda. Red Bull is finally a team that's getting a little bit of a facelift. They've had the same Red Bull Ford livery for like absolutely ages now, but finally there's been a brand new one that we can use. Again, as always with all these ones, links down below in the description if you're going to go check them out. And this one is a really tasty one. It's almost like the old livery, the classic Red Bull livery they kind of run now, and there's kind of just a nice little tinge of blue bleeding onto the side pod area. You've got the big nice Ford logo at the back of the engine cover rather than on the side pod. I think just a nice little freshen up. You've got the Ford on the rear wing as well, you'll notice. So I think just a nice little difference to what we've had in previous seasons. And finally, the last major change of team is going to be Alfa Romeo returning to Formula 1 to partner Haas. So Haas were with Toyota previously in this series, but you know, since that's a bit too much like real life, and in the game series love to push the boat out with wacky stories that you're never going to probably see in real life. So Alfa Romeo returning, and I must say this one looks beautiful. You know, very old school, like, you know, Alfa were when they just were in Formula 1 a couple of years ago, giving me big vibes like that. But instead of Sauber, it is with Haas, as you can clearly see on the side pod. But lovely to see that Alfa Romeo logo back on an engine cover, and it looks really darn great. Whether we see a lot of it, obviously, is another thing, because Haas weren't too great last season. Let's see how they do. And of course, just going through quickly all the other liveries that we have for the other teams, they're staying put from last season. Andretti is going to be in that white, but I may change that up race to race, depending on if I remember, basically. But the other teams, obviously, McLaren with the MasterCard livery. We had Audi with a new livery for the first time in absolute ages last season. Of course, we've got our livery, which is the AAGP, my actual own custom-made livery that is in the game natively. And of course, all the other remaining teams, including Ferrari, obviously were a massive championship contender in their anniversary edition livery, kind of a new take on a classic. So those are the changes for the teams this season. But what are the changes for the driver market? It's time to look at the team roster update for 2032. And we kick things off, okay, big change there for Scuderia Ferrari. There's no headline change, which might mean there's enough changes where the game couldn't even choose what headline transfer to write about at the top blurb here. Obviously, we know from managing Andretti ourselves that Leclerc and Colapinto were going to stay put. The reigning Constructors Champion, the reigning Constructors Drivers Champion of Colapinto with the Constructors Champion and Leclerc alongside. Ferrari with Antonelli, but it's not going to be Lando Norris. It's another British driver. It's George Russell. Very, very random. Maybe maybe these two are interconnected from, being linked at Mercedes before, because of course this is the current new Mercedes driver lineup in 2032 now, many years into the future in this alternate F1 universe. They're coming together, not having been teammates for absolutely ages. They're now teammates together at Ferrari. That's strange. Antonelli fits Ferrari, Italian driver, Italian team, even though he is an IRL Mercedes Academy driver, but it kind of makes sense, and he fits well. Russell looks so out of place at Ferrari. That's really odd. But I just also don't know what I didn't really see Ferrari changing. Like, they had a solid lineup of Antonelli and Norris. Obviously Antonelli was the one leading the team. Norris maybe could have been doing a little bit better, but he was still good enough to give them a chance for the Constructors' Championship. And to be fair, Norris got very unlucky at the end of last season, remember, with quite a few mechanical faults, but that's not really his fault. So that's a little bit harsh from Ferrari to drop him. But maybe that's not the story. Depending on where he's ended up, maybe he's chosen to leave and he's gone to a team that's just maybe paying him more money, for example, or just a different team that he can lead, basically. So those are obviously the two top constructors teams from last season. Andretti, no change there. Ferrari with a slight change, but maybe bigger changes on the horizon, because I'm very surprised there's no, main big transfer blurb here going on. So the next two teams are AAGP. Obviously, we know who we have. We have O'Ward and Behrman. Still very big question mark on where on earth Pulling's gone. Because that was part of the reason why it was going to be exciting coming back to this team. Not to say that O'Ward being there isn't exciting anyway, because we've got the band back together. But Audi there, remember, it was it's been quite a few days since I've recorded an episode of this game. It was Powertrain and Ugo, wasn't it? The American driver, very tall guy in real life. So let's see if they've changed or they stick with, because I feel like, all they had to do was improve their car, and they had a pretty solid driver lineup. But let's see, we've got obviously the same for on the left. Oh, that's where Pulling's gone. So Powertrain's left. Powertrain's left. The double champion, Teo Powertrain, he's had enough of that dog of an Audi last season. Really did not deliver them a car to really do anything last season, Ugo and Teo Powertrain. But Powertrain's left, and Pulling has left us before I even had a chance to manage her. As a full-time F1 driver, she's only gone to Audi. She's going to be the team leader with 88 rating, Ugo with 84. I mean, that's a solid lineup for where Audi are. They need to rebuild a little bit themselves after having a good period of somewhat dominating, 2 seasons of F1 there, but now they need to rebuild a little bit. But a bit of a shame we never got to manage Pulling for a full season there. Obviously, it was out of my hands because I was joining this team, so I had no say in what they did. So the AI team that was managing AAGP and managing Audi obviously did their own little transfer before I even got my hands on it. So maybe in the future there's a way we could get it back into the team. But at the same time, like I said, maybe it's meant to be, because it's just so funny to me and weird that they got Pato back in this same season that I'm coming back to them. That's crazy. So that's AAGP and Audi next up. So the two teams we talked about very nicely together on the same bit of the page here. BMW Williams, Aston Martin, two teams looking to try and go up and up and up. They both had some really good results last season. They want to try and continue that on, and they will continue that on with their two drivers respectively. So it's still Gasly and Browning at BMW Williams now, and it's Hadjar and Piastri, the two-time world champion, alongside Hadjar in the Aston Martin team. That is solid. I mean, for both teams, if I was them, I would be doing that. It's consistency that they need to try and build on further for this next season. It's going to be really exciting to genuinely see if these two AI teams I have not managed one of them at all in this series. I mean, a few of you are telling me to maybe manage Williams or Aston Martin because they maybe need my touch to get them over the line for the championship. But to be honest, I'm intrigued if as an AI team fully, without any assistance from me at any point in their history in this series, can one of them actually build into a team that starts to fight for wins and maybe even a championship. Maybe that's going to be the really curious thing for me, because they both have genuinely been looking so much better especially the last season. Right, next up then we've got Red Bull, Ford and Porsche. Porsche really slumped in the last 2-3 seasons, you feel. Red Bull, Ford, kind of slumped, but they've had their moments, you know. There have been a few times where we've been surprised, you know, with Tsunoda at Red Bull Ford popping in some pretty decent, you know, positions in the top 10. So I think both teams, they're doing their own rebuilds, but I think Red Bull's in a stronger position to maybe try and do better, whereas Porsche, very nicely for me, to be honest, personally, on a bit of a downward trajectory slump as we look to now see what they've got. Ooh. You know what? For two teams that I've just said are not in a great nick and Porsche in a big slump, their lineups are incredibly strong. What? Tsunoda, and so this is where Lando Norris went. So either Ferrari kicked him out and he went to Red Bull, or Red Bull headhunted him to spearhead their progress. So it's Lando alongside Tsunoda in Red Bull Ford in 2032, and then Porsche have the two-time world champion Théo Pourchaire. So Pourchaire's jumped ship from Audi and gone to Porsche, or Audi have kicked out their world champion leader for pulling. I think more likely is Pourchaire left, but I'm surprised he's left for Porsche. He must be on a fat salary. He must be getting paid so much. We know sometimes the salaries on this game can be ridiculous, like 32 million. Or, well, case in point, Leclerc, 52 million, obviously, when we came to the team. So we know there's some high salaries being knocked about there. So it could definitely be possible. So Pourchaire and Doohan, interesting lineup. Pourchaire, obviously, one of the strongest drivers in this game, actually. So if anyone's going to pull Porsche out of the mud, it's going to be them. And Lando Norris, obviously, 96 rated. He is going to be a driver that can maybe, in pairing with Tsunoda, try and galvanize Red Bull to come back a little bit. Two teams, though, that I don't think are coming back anytime soon are McLaren with their MasterCard livery and Mercedes. Now, that's weird to say because at the start of the series, McLaren were one of the best teams for like 4 or 5 seasons. They were always there, always. Obviously, Piastri, I think he won both his championships with McLaren, for goodness sake, but they are really on the downturn. Mercedes are as well. And that reflects in their driver lineup. I mean, at least McLaren don't have a pay driver anymore. That's good. They've got Paul Aaron and Jack Crawford, both two, obviously, right now, in real life, Formula 2 drivers. So both under 80 rated. Kind of where McLaren are as a team in this series. Mercedes, they've got actually a very good pairing of Gabriel Mini and Esteban Ocon, but their car has been woeful for like the last 5 seasons. So whether we see a lot of these two teams, I don't know. At least for everyone's sake, there's not a pay driver in McLaren anymore. So maybe there's going to be slightly less crashing and consistent crashing going on from that one guy who I can't even remember his name. I'm sure he was just generated. He can't have been a real driver, surely. And then finally, Alfa Romeo Haas. They retain Albon and, well, I think they gain Lawson because I think Lawson was at Red Bull, wasn't he? Or I can't even remember. I actually can't. This is just breaking the fourth wall here. It has been literally pre-Christmas since I recorded the last episode of this series. I recorded it in advance because I was away for the holidays. So I actually can't remember the driver lineups. I know Albon was here. I don't know if Lawson was, but either way, they're in an Alfa Romeo Haas now. Again, same kind of story. Will we see a lot of them? We'll have to see, but apart from that, that's actually a very exciting and very competitive driver lineup. Like, really competitive from these 6 teams, 8 of these teams are incredibly competitive, and you've got these 3. So, yeah, that's going to be cool. It's going to be cool to see how Andretti do without me now. Can they carry on where I left them versus Ferrari? Where are we going to be? Because AAGP probably had the potential to fight last season, but they just didn't, you know, they needed that special touch. Audi, they have some rebuilding to do. These 2 teams on an upswing. Let's see how they do. Yeah, exciting times ahead. And with that now, the last thing to do is just let this timeline tick over, let the upgrades come in, and then we'll see what's what on the R&D chart, see what we have to work with at Aarava Archer GP, and see what the pecking order is going to be like going into this brand new F1 season. Right, sponsor plan for the first time this season, heavy on the driver appearance, but that's absolutely fine. That's fine by me. The lads, you know, it's 2032. It's been, what, like 8 years in game. They know the drill, okay? They know what they're doing by now. And we've got so long to go to the first race. We've got a brand new ATR period. Let's do a chassis then. Let's go for it. I'm doing this one chassis upgrade. Then I'm actually going to leave it because I want to have the first race to then know what our weaknesses are going into the rest of the season. So I'm going to leave the rest of the ATR period, do that one chassis upgrade. That's 4 upgrades in total we'll have for the first race. That's really solid. Gives us a good baseline then to then use the rest of it after that first race. Although, to be fair, the chassis I've just noticed will take 10 more days. Australia's in 5, so this chassis won't get done in time, but it will be an important upgrade. In a funny way, maybe will be kind of cooler just to not have that upgrade. So it kind of gives us, if the first race maybe is difficult, we have that initial straight bumper of a chassis upgrade. Then we can do further ones. But let's see. I'm going to pause it right here with 2 days to go. I think this is a safe time now to look at the R&D chart and see what's what. Because unless some team's going to do some incredible, massive upgrade in 2 days just before Australia, this should be the pecking order going into the first race. Oh, okay. I was not expecting us to be 5th. I really, really thought we were going to keep at least the top 3. But hey, you know what? This just proves Aston Martin and Williams are on a full upswing here. Look at those positions. Aston Martin P2 technically on paper. Williams P4, very close behind Andretti. Ferrari P1, and clearly over the winter and maybe this little period, we've not done as much upgrading as other teams. But obviously that we can catch up. I think we can, we've been always good at playing a bit of catch up like this. And to be fair, this may be a 2-season building thing, but if we can catch up sooner, obviously we wouldn't be opposed to it. But at least the big thing is, looking at the pattern there, we're in the top pack. There's the top pack of Ferrari, Aston, Andretti, Williams, and us with AAGP. And then there's the bottom pack, which now Audi, unfortunately, are a part of. Porsche, Audi together. Porsche are actually above Audi. So Teo Porchera has actually left Audi and has joined a slightly better Porsche on paper. Red Bull a bit closer behind. And then Haas strung out into Mercedes and McLaren at the bottom there. So okay, going to be interesting to see if Porsche, Audi, or Red Bull can bridge any sort of gap there, because that's quite large, actually, relative to when you look at the gaps between teams. The gap from us to Porsche is massive, actually. So it really is going to be Formula A and Formula B here. I'm just very happy that we are part of Formula A, but we're the worst team in that group, to my surprise. I really thought, because I think AAGP, I think they were, I want to say, second best team ending off last season. Which is why I thought, Behrman definitely should have had a chance of winning the championship, and they underperformed last season because they were so much better on paper than showed in the full results. But they've gone from, I think, second best team to now 5th. So yeah, maybe that is the research not being as good as I thought it was going to be. But I think more so maybe it was the upgrading the AI teams have done. But that's always been the case. I feel like the AI are really good at upgrading at the start of the season, and then we are better at upgrading in these next couple of races. So let's hold and wait and hold our breath. But I think we can fight. We can fight, and there's gonna be a fight between 5 teams here. Very, very exciting. Ferrari with Antonelli and Russell now, but it's going to be so exciting to confirm here if Aston Martin and Williams are genuinely up there and competitive, along with our old team Andretti with Leclerc and the reigning champ Colapinto, of course, and hopefully we can punch there and go through, and then we'll see about Formula B, what they can do below. But okay, not how I thought the R&D chart would look like, but it's always good to be surprised a little bit, when we're playing a game like this. Keep you on your toes, and I think a lot of you will be happy to see that Aston and Williams as AI teams have continued to upgrade and continue this trajectory, because like I said earlier, genuinely will be very interested to see if those two teams can actually start fighting for a championship without me having ever managed them. Because I feel like if a team is managed by me once, they have a little bit going for them. I mean, look at Audi. After I left them, they went on to do even better than I ever did with them. And Andretti, who knows? Let's see if they can do better than I ever could with them as an AI team now, having been managed by me. And of course, we know AAGP had some good seasons in there when I left them as well. So let's see. Interesting though. This is going to be a very competitive 2032. In many ways, maybe more more competitive than we saw last season. And that was obviously a thriller that ended in that final episode with the double World Championship finale decider. But guys, if you have enjoyed this pre-season for 2032 here on F1 Manager 24, then be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.